And welcome back, everyone, to our one shot, what if on Friday. So this goes to us from Luna Gaming, who asked the interesting question that I don't usually tackle, just because I don't see it very often. But what if the Android Saga just didn't happen? Like nothing, none of the plot points that caused the Android Saga to happen happened, and then instead we essentially went from Namek to that little peace arc to 7-year time skip to Boo. Well, it would basically be the end of Dragon Ball Z. Why is that? Well, as you can see here, this is pretty much everything that kind of encompassed the Android Saga, Cell, the androids, and Frieza and his father showing up. So, in order to basically negate the Android Saga to whatever level we negate it, we basically have to say that the androids obviously aren't happening, Jiro doesn't do anything, Cell doesn't exist, and Frieza and Cold never show up. That also means that Trunks never comes from the future because there are no androids in this future and to bother him at all. So what does that ultimately mean? Well, Goku would show up, everyone's happy, fine, except for Vegeta, who's a little prissy bitch. And life would go on fine until Goku passes away of the heart virus. And this is detrimental as F to the series because the Dragon Balls, at least the Earth Dragon Balls, cannot bring back someone who died of natural causes. This is, I believe, why Goku was never brought back, because it was natural causes he died of, disease. Well, without Goku there, and no future Trunks, no android threat, while Vegeta and Piccolo certainly keep training, especially over the years, I don't think there's any reason for Gohan to ever become Super Saiyan. There's just never a threat that shows up that threatens anyone to the extent that would cause him to snap. There's never any reason for him to train in this version either. I could say this, maybe to honor his dad, he does train on and keeps at least mildly getting stronger. But because Chi-Chi stressed, his education over training, and because we know that's what happened in the 7-year time skip, I do not see this going having Super Saiyan. Vegeta might arguably be the strongest individual on the planet now, because now there's no reason for Kami and Piccolo to really ever fuse. I don't know if Vegeta ever hits Super Saiyan 2, but I think he maybe gets the perfected Super Saiyan over the years. Mind you, with Goku gone, his drive to fight is also diminished greatly. Mind you, it's because Goku sacrificed himself so selflessly. But again, without Goku, it's just his will and vibe to just fight is gone. And so, yeah, he keeps training, but I don't think he ever really fights anymore. Like, he's not really a threat, is what I'm trying to get at. Piccolo keeps his training. Everyone who would train would keep the training up. Even Krillin keeps training because he's not married to 18 in this version. But and there's no Goten. There's no Goten who to be born in this version either, because obviously in those 7 days, Goku and Chi-Chi were spending some time together. But he said 7 days, and I'm using it. What's he mean? What they say is Saiyan gets stronger every time he comes back from the brink of death. Wouldn't that be an interesting Zenkai instead? Every time the other way. No. The problem obviously comes down to the tournament, the World's Martial Arts Tournament. Now, Hercule would still, by all accounts, be the champion. That I don't think is in the question. But he's not the savior of the world here, which means he doesn't get as much leeway as he gets in the original. Videl shouldn't, by all accounts, get the leeway to go help the police, even though she probably still tries. And I think, here's the problem. If they were going to use Babidi to bring him back, not Babidi, Baba, Baba. They're going to use Baba to bring him back for a day. Why would they use it on that day? That's the question I'm not sure about. There hadn't been a martial arts tournament for like 7 years after the Cell games, and then they decided to do it. It's like, oh, it's a perfect time for me to come back. I don't know if they would have already used like Goku's one day. And if here's a question: if Goku got his one day, dead as he was, but had a physical body, could Chi-Chi still get pregnant? He's dead. I don't think that's really how that works. I don't know. But this, despite all that, um, despite all that, a new World's Martial Arts tournament happens. I think Goku can't come back this time around, so he's just training in the other world. That's all it is, just training. Now, granted, I should also note that Goku got to keep his body multiple times because he was always a hero, devoted himself to helping people, all that. Would disease count for that? I'd have to believe it'd count for that. I have to believe so. And so he's been training in the other world all this time, which means he's not just at Super Saiyan 3. He's probably well beyond not beyond, but has more than likely perfected Super Saiyan 3 indefinitely at this point. So that being said, you get the Yamu Spopovich shit. They go, and unfortunately, no one is strong enough in this tournament to basically stop them. To even Vegeta, who at best would have Super Saiyan 2, and that's at best, would be strong enough to take on probably Deborah, but I don't even know if this Super Saiyan 2 would be strong enough to take on Deborah, or would be like equivalent to Gohan's, maybe less. I would say that because of the nature of who he is, he'd still be able to become a Majin. Babidi would ultimately take him over. Even though Vegeta would probably resist it, he ultimately becomes evil and just helps and unleashes Majin Buu, who destroys everything, and that's kind of the end of the series. Now, mind you, you could argue that they might use the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring him back. And that's entirely possible here. Because there isn't the threat of the androids, they could just go to New Namek, because that would have happened. Or at least ask Kami or King Kai to, hey, could you help bring my dad back? And maybe that could happen. You know what? Fair is fair. Let's backtrack for a second. And let's finish up where I was talking about. Buu goes on a rampage until Beerus eventually wakes up and annihilates him and everyone. And then eventually the universes get wiped out by Zeno. But what if Goku was able to come back? Thanks to the Namekian Dragon Balls, which as far as we know, do not have the same limiters. They have different limiters, like one person at a time. There's a couple other limitations as well, but they can do things the Earth Dragon Ball simply can't do. Like revive the same person over and over. So if Goku came back with the Namekian Dragon Balls, he's back. Woo, great. And so now him and Vegeta would probably be training a lot more often. Maybe Gohan, thanks to his dad being there, does train. Goten is born. There's a rivalry between him and Trunks. I still think the problem just comes down to, once you get to Buu, no one is strong enough to do anything about that. No one can do anything. Goku and Vegeta together might be able to give him a fight, but Majin Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta could not beat Majin Buu as Fat Buu, his weakest form. So I still think you get stopgapped at the Buu Saga in this kind of scenario here. And unfortunately, Beerus would wipe out Buu eventually, and then Zeno eventually wipes out everyone else. Now, again, to be fair, you could say that when they get wiped out by Buu, and Buu goes on a rampage, the Namekians bring back, or try to bring them back, but the problem just simply comes down to they're not strong enough. But with a new Elder, maybe they use the Dragon Balls to unleash her potential all the way. But maybe because it's Porunga, you can only do it on one person at a time. Maybe that's what happens. Either way, it's not going to end well. Even if you manage to get to beating Buu, you still only have like one person available. Then you got to wait the entire time to bring everyone else back. And that's assuming Dende isn't wiped out at this point. Not even Dende, because Kami is around. And if Piccolo's killed, then Kami's dead. So you got to bring Piccolo back first. It's such a clusterfuck, man. It's such a cluster F. Point being, though, I don't see a lot of avenues where a future can continue past Buu. Because the Android and Cell Saga were the sagas where everyone got their big glow-ups. Super Saiyan was perfected. Super Saiyan 2 was unlocked. Gohan was literally given a reason to train to the extreme. In this version, that's the big problem here for me, is that in this version, there is no reason Gohan is given to train to the extreme. There just isn't. Even if we did the alternate timeline that Trunks is from, you still have the androids there. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's just one big stopgap after Boo. There's maybe some avenues you could go a little further, but it's really, really back and forth here. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. I just don't think there's many avenues you can go past the androids Boo saga if you're not having the big increase of strength with the android saga. You could get there eventually you can get to the level of strength you get in the android saga, but it just takes longer because the imminent threat isn't there to just train to the extreme. And so, yeah, I think it would just unfortunately be a big end to the series if you don't have the android. Despite some of the issues people have with the android saga, and there are issues, it's actually kind of pivotal to the growth of the characters for the later on parts of the series. But I digress. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you later.